Vigilante Wednesday here with the fifth episode of my Mandalorian review series. I hope everyone's having a good evening, afternoon, or day, whatever they're watching this. I'm actually recording this, or live recording this, if you will. It is noon on Sunday, November 29th. I decided to record these or do these live because I'm just doing such a bad job at editing that I'd rather just go ahead and record them live just to make sure they're done, because editing takes a while. Set up a tip jar if you do come in live. I just posted it in the chat. So feel free to provide tips if you like. Other than that, I'm going to get into this Mandalorian review, and I'm going to do the same format: non-spoiler thoughts, spoiler thoughts, and then the plot. My non-spoiler thoughts, to give this a score, I've debated between 8 and 8.5. I think last episode was a little bit better, but sometimes I think that this episode was a little bit better. This may be the best episode of the series, and that's good. That's good that the last few episodes have really turned it around from the first couple to me. I'm really loving this series, really digging it in general. I really like this episode, and I've said in the past that this series is dumb and hot, in that the action sequences take over from the dialogue sequences, where the dialogue sequences are kind of just useless and just used there to get us from action sequence to action sequence. This episode was a little bit different. I think of all the low action episodes, and this episode still has fair share of action, don't get me wrong, but of all the episodes with a little bit less as far as the action goes and a little bit more plot driven, this is the best one. I didn't mind meandering as much as I did in the previous two episodes. It was one of the longer episodes of the season, about 45, 46 minutes. And I liked it. I really liked it. I liked Ahsoka Tano. I liked Rosario Dawson on that. And actually, to talk about that, I know there was some controversy. I don't know if controversy is the right word. There were fans who wanted Ashley Eckstein. Hopefully, I think it's Eckstein. Ashley Eckstein, who does her voice and has done a lot of actually, let me see if I can pull her up since I'm using the StreamYard. I'm paying for this freaking StreamYard thing. Might as well get my money's worth, which the main reason I'm not even paying the full version, because they have like a $10 version they have for the for the Black Friday thing. But let me see if I can get Ashley Eckstein up as Ahsoka Tano, because she does cosplay. And so there was a huge, I'm not gonna say huge, it was a nice size bit of the fandom who wanted Ashley Eckstein as Ahsoka Tano, because she played her and she does look good in general. And as Ahsoka, she looks pretty cool, as I vent for myself because I didn't. Yeah, there we go. Ashley Eckstein cosplay. But she does look pretty good in that role. So let's see if I can share screen. Okay. And here we go. So, where am I? There I am. No. So here's Ashley Eckstein as Ahsoka Tano doing the cosplay, and you can see she does look pretty good as Ahsoka Tano. So that's pretty cool, but she didn't get picked. This was the big controversy, that Rosario Dawson got picked for Ahsoka Tano, even though Ashley Eckstein has been doing the voice. That said, if you really look at what they've done this season, it makes sense, because each episode this season has been a guest star. There was Raylan Givens. I almost called him Timothy Oliphant, which is his real name, but he was Raylan Givens as the Marshal in episode 1. Episode 2 did not have a guest star and was by far and away the weakest episode of the series and the season. Episode 3 had Bo-Katan and Sasha Banks and her Mandalorian crew. Episode 4 had Cara Dune and Grief Karga, even though they're kind of reoccurring characters and were more reoccurring in season 1. This is the only episode I think they're in. Maybe I'm wrong. We'll see. There's only a few episodes left. 3, 6, 7, 8. So each episode has had a huge guest star. Now, could you have had Ashley Eckstein as that guest star? Yes. But because in at least 2 of the cases with Carl Weathers and Timothy Oliphant, they went for names that the average person may or may not have heard of. So I think going with Rosario Dawson is in that vein. It doesn't mean Ashley Eckstein couldn't have done a great job as Ahsoka Tano. Rosario Dawson did, though. And she was picked because she has a little bit more name value. And the whole theme, the meta theme of this season is guest stars. Have a guest star in each episode, and that's what pushes it. So to just answer that controversy, I am a little bit glad that Ashley Eckstein did not get the chance, even though, you know, she probably did deserve it. But because they wanted to do the guest star thing and Rosario Dawson has a bigger name, it makes sense. So there's that. So to get into some of the spoilers of the episode itself, it takes place. Oh no, I forgot about the 4. Hey, Jake D. Hell, Jake D. Appreciate supporting the stream. I'll check out his stream a little bit later. When he does his and I can't think because I'm having a brain fart, but he has a really good stream, and I love being in the chat messing with him. But this, you know, I actually, before I get all the way into the spoilers, I'm going to kind of give a spoiler. Oh, got the notification. So he popped in. A notification went out on my channel. I feel honored because that rarely happens. There is one issue I have with the series that is starting to peak up. Because basically, long and short of the episode, one of the things that gets decided, and this is in the spoiler, I'm going to start talking about spoilers, is that Baby Yoda, or Grogu, which is his name, which I don't know if I like the name, but there's a spot where Din Djarin and Ahsoka Tano and Grogu, you know, they're trying to train him with this pebble. They're trying to basically, Din Djarin, the Mandalorian, is trying to not get rid of him, because I think over the course of the season, they've shown their attachment grow. And I don't know how long this whole series is taking place, but it seems like it's been over a year plus of them traveling together. So the reason I almost feel like this series and this season is going to be kind of wasted is it comes to a point where they're going to take, or Mando's going to take Baby Yoda, hooray for 2 times speed, rewind to catch the beginning. I haven't been going that long, Jake. So yeah, hooray for 2 times speed. I have not been going that long. I've just been rambling about. So anyways, and actually, you know what's funny, Jake, because I kind of answered one of your things, because you're one of the people who wanted Ashley Eckstein over Rosario Dawson, which I get. But as I kind of explained, I think the meta of this season has been the guest stars, so they went with a bigger name. And it doesn't mean Ashley Eckstein couldn't have done a good job, but I think that was what they were doing. So that probably been the only part that you missed that I did mention. And I remember you being big on that, so pretty cool. But this season's almost going to feel wasted, because they get to a point where Ahsoka Tano says, I don't want to train Baby Yoda. Basically, I don't want another Anakin situation, which is understandable. And she talks about a planet that they can go to and have Grogu, which is Baby Yoda. I'm still going to call him Baby Yoda because it's a better name. But Grogu can decide for himself. And it's becoming clear he's going to decide to stay with the Mandalorian. And so that makes, once that happens, that means this whole season was sort of a waste. I can see where this is going, because this is not, you know, genius level plot stuff on the show, nor does it have to be. But eventually Moff Gideon's going to be involved. He's probably going to assault them when they get to the planet, and maybe he captures Baby Yoda. They have to give him back. But like this season, the whole point of this season was for Mandalorian to find Baby Yoda's people, or the Jedi, which is technically not his race, but still his people, and give it over. And now you get to Ahsoka Tano, and she rightfully doesn't want another Anakin on her hands. Another thing that was mentioned is Baby Yoda was indeed trained. He is not a race situation where he just wakes up one day with force powers. He was trained. But she doesn't want an Anakin situation, so she doesn't want to train him. And Baby Yoda and Mando have been connecting. Even the Manzo moment a few episodes ago where he was helpless, I actually liked that. I thought it was just showing that Mando was becoming more soft because of Baby Yoda and warming up to him. So now we've gone this whole season with this whole goal of getting Baby Yoda to his people. We're now toward the end of the season, and we all know that Baby Yoda is not going to choose to go away from Mando. And they probably will have Moff Gideon involved to pad out the other episodes. But when we end this season, we're going to end in the same spot we started from, with Baby Yoda and Mando just traveling, except there's no purpose now. Maybe they'll create a purpose later in the last 2 episodes, but they basically, and I like this season, I like this series, but from a plot standpoint, we will end up where we started and have gone nowhere. And so that's a bothersome thing. And again, I've said this before, this series doesn't know if it's serialized or episodic. And it seems more and more that they don't want to continue a plot from episode to episode. Like they do, but they don't. They really want one-off types episodes or one-off. And I get episodic and serialized mixed up. But yeah, this is actually a lot more, I believe, episodic. Yeah, series and installments loosely. Yeah, it's a lot more episodic than it is serialized. So, and that's been sort of the problem of deciding what you want to be. I think this makes more sense as an episodic series, villain of the week type series. But because of this fake storyline, which is actually going to go a whole long way to nowhere, it hasn't been. So that's kind of my criticism for that. That's probably the only thing I'm critical of. As far as the episode itself, again, they're really good at the visuals. It looks cool. It's a cool looking planet that they're on. It's one of the first different looking planets. It's not a desert planet. It's not a snow planet. It's kind of this dark forest planet. And we finally have a different setting, which is cool. The Magistrate was a cool villain. I'm not sure if they killed her or not. And maybe I need to rewatch the episode to make sure. But I do not believe that she's dead. It'd be nice if she isn't, because I think this episode or this series has been good at setting up the cast of characters. They are really good at the Iron Man 2 thing where they're setting up all the potential spinoffs with Ahsoka Tano, Bo-Katan, Gina Carano, maybe even Boba Fett, who has not played a part. He only had the little scene in the beginning or the end of the first episode. We haven't seen Boba Fett since. So they've set up this cast of characters long term. We haven't really gone anywhere. We're going to end the series with Mando and Baby Yoda together, and that's where we started off at. So I don't really. That's the huge plot thing. But the episode itself was really cool. And again, even though it did have its action, it didn't rely on it as much as other episodes. So I'm done rambling about my thoughts of the series and some of the spoilers. I'll get into a little bit more as I go through the story. We start off with an opening scene where the Magistrate and her guards or her scout guards are trying to attack Ahsoka Tano. On this planet, there's like one big city and it has this huge wall guarding it. And they have people on the top of the wall who yell down at people to make sure they don't come in or whatever. So Ahsoka Tano is basically picking off these guards, and it's really cool because she keeps turning her lightsaber off so you don't hear the little whoom, and she just picks everyone off. That's really cool. She gets to the beginning of the wall, and there's another weird thing. They do the 1 day thing, and she gives them an ultimatum. She said, "I'll be back in 1 day." It's like they did the similar thing with Moff Gideon and the end of can't think of episode 7 or 8 of the last series, where they had Moff Gideon do the same thing where like, okay, we have you pinned down, we'll give you a day to decide. It's like, what the fuck? just do it. But I guess it's the plot, so whatever. So then they have that opening scene. Then Mando comes, he gets on the planet, and he treks through the planet to get to that same gate. He actually kind of smooths his way in. This is probably the smoothest. Wes Moody, I feel like the stars are out. Hell, Wes Moody. Hell. I did a great podcast. Well, I don't know how great it was. It was fun. I'll say it was fun. I don't know how great it turned out. But with Wes Moody, Culture Casino, and a bunch of other people. And so that was cool. Anyways, this is probably the smoothest Mando was with the Magistrate and with the guards or whatever, because usually he's kind of a putz. And instead he's able to get into the city, and you see that this city is this dystopian probable future for America where you can't talk to anyone new, and you're not allowed to do anything unless the people approve. And Mando gets into this kind of despot city, and he's trying to find someone and talk to someone, and he goes over to like what seems to be a merchant, and they don't want to talk to him. And then the one guy who I won't spoil who he turns out to be for the city, but he's trying to just say like, listen, man, no one's going to talk to you, man. You don't understand how things work. And right in that moment, the guards for the Magistrate come and get Mando, and basically they hire Mando to kill Ahsoka Tano. That's what I mean by smooth, because usually Mando blows his cover and does something awkward, and he just was able to smooth his way in the city, smooth his way sort of to get to meet the magistrate, and then get hired to find the person he's been looking for, which is Ahsoka Tano. And he's offered a Beskar spear. A lot of Beskar has been involved. I mean, Garrett is the Mandalorian, so it makes sense. But a lot of Beskar has been involved with this series, and so that's basically the semi premise of the episode. But he has no intention. It's clear that he has no intention of killing Ahsoka Tano. So he finally goes off back to the woods that surrounds the city to meet Ahsoka Tano. Eventually, he comes across her, and they start talking. They have a cool little introduction fight scene. They establish that the lightsabers cannot damage the Beskar because she attacks him, and he's able to just block it off. So they start talking. That's where they get into Grogu. So I do have another kind of minor gripe. It's funny. I love this episode, but I've been bringing up all the stuff I don't like. So in order for her to kind of communicate with Grogu and get his name and get all this information, she does the mind reading thing. Now, in the original trilogy, there is a mind reading scene. It's a famous scene. It's right after the Luke, I am your father. Luke goes in the mine shaft, and him and Leia are mentally connected, and that they established that right there in The Empire Strikes Back. So this isn't totally gone where there is no mind reading thing, but I feel like the mind reading thing is a more sequel trilogy thing to me, and maybe all the guys in the chat, who a lot of guys have actually been on streams with, you guys can maybe you guys can tell me if I'm off on that, where I think the mind reading thing, yes, it happened in the OT, but it wasn't like Luke could just stand next to Leia and just know all her thoughts and all that like Ahsoka was doing with Grogu. Granted, you can make the argument Ahsoka's a lot more trained from all the years of the Clone Wars and all that than Luke was at that time. So we can go there with that, but I just don't. To me, the mind reading thing, to the extent that she was able to do it, is an original trilogy thing. And another, I don't know if this is a gripe, they are doing fan service all across the board. A lot of this episode was fan service for Clones and the Clone Wars and Rebels. They've done tons of OT and sequel fan service. And don't think it was direct. Let me see. Jake D has an answer of what he thinks about the mind reading thing. Jake D says, don't think it was direct mind reading. It was more like being able to understand each other's language mentally. And Lord Thoth also adds, isn't really telepathy, it's really a strong empathic link. And I do agree with that it's not pure telepathy, but I think from a plot standpoint, it came off a little bit like that. Like, I don't know. But I do get that point as well. It wasn't a pure telepathy thing, but I guess they have to explain things somehow. So maybe I'm being nitpicky. Where was I? Anyway, she's talking about, okay. They should have explained it a little better. And she got his name. She did get Grogu. Before I go on further, since I have people watching me for once, what do you guys think of the name Grogu? I personally am not a fan. I mean, I'll get used to it. Yeah, she says she kind of, when Mando asks, she read Grogu's thoughts. I guess my real big issue is that is not something that was known. Like, I am not an extended lore person. I am really a OT purist type person, right? So, and I guess that's a difference in fandom. So, I think she knew his name from the ID in the gym, but now I'm looking at the chat. So in my head, it's like, if the original Jedi and the OT didn't do a lot of it, I'm going to look at it a little suspect. And again, this is in the OT. There definitely is shown to be mental links between Force users. So it's not completely without any precedent. And Wes Moody, as far as Grogu, yeah, it sounds like a gross soup with liver and onions. I agree. I'm not a fan of the name. I think they could have came up with a better name, especially because he's such a cute character. So you want a cute name, Grogu. So back to the story. I've got to go off the rail with his name and what I thought about the mind reading thoughts. So she's able to pick up his name's Grogu and pick up this important point. He was trained. He is not Rey. He was trained before the Clone Wars. He has some Force training. So that's huge to me. As far as separating it from the Disney trilogy. Oh, I think one point I was making before I start getting off top of the chat was that there's tons of fan service throughout. I think even whether or not that was Snoke in was the last episode, episode before, I think that was a little bit of a. So far, it's just an Easter egg. It's not really big whether or not that's Snoke, but I think that was a fan service to the sequel trilogy. Believe it or not, there are people who like the sequel trilogy, and I think that they've been doing stuff to kind of signal to any aspect of the Star Wars fandom, which I like. I think it's good because there's so many different fans, and I think that's a cool thing. But Ahsoka Tano's able to pick up on Grogu's thoughts and his emotions. They do this cool little pebble thing, which at first with the pebble it doesn't really work, but they take this little piece that Mandalorian or Baby Yoda was going after earlier in the episodes, this little globe thing, because Mando never watches his kid, and so he was trying to spin it off from the beginning of the episode, but he's able to basically get Baby Yoda to take that out of his hand. And call him Grogu kind of helps. It's cute how he just answers. So that was a cute thing. And I like the awkward couple dynamic they almost had. It wasn't implied that there was any romantic thing between Mando and Ahsoka Tano. But there was a just a cool dynamic that I felt that was, I don't even know how I could put it, but of Mando, Ahsoka Tano, and the child. And it would be cool to see just more episodes in that dynamic. I just think they have a cool thing going on. So at this point, she explains she doesn't want to train him. She kind of implies what happened with Anakin, or like what Lord Thoth just said. The sequel trilogy is Shakespeare compared to Disney trilogy. I agree. Let me see what. But they're barely people if they like the Disney trilogy. We don't want to go full Pedro. You never want to go full Pedro Pascal. But I think as far as people who like Disney trilogy, there's people who grew up on it. I think Lord Thoth meant prequel. I think there are people who are now 8 and between the ages of 8 and 12, who the first Star Wars they saw was Rey. So they're going to grow up loving it, unfortunately. That's just how that goes. But she explains, back to the story, because I've rambled enough. So if we're watching this back, it's probably not going to be the best. But it's cool to actually have people watching me live. It's really cool. Thank you to everyone who's helped raise my subscribers, by the way. Everyone in this chat has helped. So it's really cool for you guys to support me. I really appreciate it a ton. So we get to the point where she's like, I don't really want to create another Anakin. She doesn't say his name, but that's what she means. She was his Padawan. So she doesn't want to create another Anakin. So she doesn't really want to train him. So Mando explains, hey, I was basically sent out to kill you by the magistrate. I'll help you with your problem. So I'll help you with your problem. You help take him off my hands, basically. Even though it's still implied he doesn't really want to give up Grogu or Baby Yoda. But then they go back into town. There's what this series is good at: cool action sequences. Let me see. Not if you raised the right my 9-11-year-old girls can't stand Rey. Well, good for you, JD. Good. That's good fatherhood right there. Good there. But anyways, they go back into the town. And it's what this series is good at: kick-ass action scenes. That's what this series has been great at. Ahsoka Tano looks completely badass. She starts, again, picking off people. She picks off people at the top of the wall. They get into the town. She's doing a lot of damage, and then Mando comes in. It's a really cool action scene. And we eventually get to the point where it's basically Ahsoka and the magistrate, and they're behind the wall, and they're doing this very Ghost of Tsushima inspired cinematic intro into their fight, which is not that great, honestly. I can't think of the actress that played the magistrate. She just didn't seem believable with that spear. It was a cool sound effect they had with a lightsaber going against the spear, because she was fighting with the same spear she was offering Mando, and as established, lightsabers can't penetrate the Beskar. So it was a really cool scene, but it just felt like the stakes were fake. Like I talked about the last episode, how good Gina Carano looks in physical scenes. whoever was playing the magistrate, she seemed like a cool villain. She kind of gave me Rita Repulsa vibes, but as a physical actress, when she was actually fighting Ahsoka Tano, it looked very awkward. But eventually, the good guys win. There's a cool scene while this is going on right outside. Mando's talking to one of her head guards, and it's cool. He's just kind of like just talking crap, like, me and you aren't too different, you and I, and maybe your side will win, maybe my side will win. And then he acts like he's going to surrender once he hears that the Beskar has the spears fallen, and he tries to shoot, and Mando does like a gunslinger shooting thing, and that is pretty cool. And then Jake D, yeah, I agree with you, Jake. Mando with the Beskar spear versus Darksaber, book it. I agree. I do think that's where they're headed, because to me, at the end of the episode, they take it over, and then the one guy who was who was trying to be cool with Mando earlier, it turns out he was the emperor or the ruler of the city before the magistrate came in, and he actually there's a scene where he gets kind of bucked, and he gets pretty heroic, and that's pretty cool for him. Goodness, I feel like I saw that actor before in another movie. Now that I think about it, he's an Asian man, and I feel like I've seen him before. So if anyone in the chat knows who he is, look it up. But that's pretty much the episode. And then they end like I said, where Ahsoka Tano says, look, there's this planet. You can go there. And I forgot the planet name because I'm a terrible reviewer. But you can go there, and Grogu can choose for himself what he wants to do. And that's where it's going. And because there's a tracking beacon on Mando's ship, I can guarantee that's where Moff Gideon will meet him, or Moff Gideon's people. That's my guess for the next episode. So I think that's where it's going. My guess for how this series is going to play out. They're going to go to that planet, maybe decide that Grogu wants Mando to be his father. Ahsoka has kind of said he kind of looks at you as a father. So we're going to get that kind of cool review, and then he's going to get kidnapped. And now we're going to have to assemble a team to go back. That's probably what it is. 6, he's going to get kidnapped. 7, he's got to assemble team to fight Moff Gideon. 8 is the big fight. That's what I'm predicting. That's my prediction for the rest of this season. And we're going to end up where we started, with Mando and Baby Yoda. The name is escaping. Let me see. JD with the extended lore. The name is escaping right now, but in the EU was the origin of the group that evolved into the Jedi. I see. Like I said, I'm not as EU intelligent as I would like to be. I did have some of the books as a kid, though, because my granddad was into the books. So I read some of the Mary Jade stuff. I only read the first book that was supposed to be the sequel trilogy relative to the books. It was pretty good. It had Mary Jade in it, and twins for what's his name? Leia and Han Solo had twins. I remember that in the book. But that was pretty much it for the EU. Tython, Lord Thoth says. So I guess that is the planet. So that's where they're going. They're going to Tython. I think on Tython, he's going to meet Moff Gideon and probably get Baby Yoda kidnapped. And that's probably how episode 6 is going to end, with Baby Yoda kidnapped by Moff Gideon and his people. Episode 7 is going to be Mando assembling a team with Timothy Olyphant and Grief and Mara Jade and anyone else you can think of. And that's going to be him assembling and getting everybody on pace to help him with this siege. Maybe the other Mandalorians, maybe Ahsoka Tano, whoever. And episode 6 is going to, like JD says, they have that tracker on the Razor Crest. That's what I'm thinking. He's going to meet him on Tython. And then that's going to end episode 6. Episode 7, we're going to assemble the cast of guest stars that we have had all season. And we're going to siege on Moff Gideon in episode 8. That's where I'm predicting this series. We'll see how right or wrong I am. But that is pretty much it for this episode. I appreciate everyone in the chat, everyone who I've done shows and stuff with. You guys are awesome. I really genuinely appreciate you guys checking me out and interacting in the chat. This is not that long. I just kind of want to do a review. I've done taped reviews and editing them, and it takes longer. It took me over a week to get out my last review. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go live and just ramble about it here. But that's pretty much it. I give it an 8, maybe 8.5. It's one of the better episodes. Mando's a symbol. Yeah. Why not? Hey, why not? They're both Disney properties. Ooh, I like this, Wes Moody. Baby Yoda may be a dark side user. Maybe. That was sort of implied, right? I don't know if I mentioned it, but Ahsoka Tano says, I mentioned that she didn't want to train him because she didn't want another Anakin. But she also mentions that he has a connection to you, Mando. So it doesn't say his name, but has a connection to you. So that can be a link for him to be angry. So you know what, Wes? I agree with that. We may see some dark side Baby Yoda. Maybe Baby Yoda will shoot some lightning out. Mess with my Mando. You get the chokey. Yeah, he has shown the chokey. Didn't he choke Cara Dune? Was that who he choked the last season? Yeah, Baby Yoda will choke a bitch. Don't mess with Baby Yoda. He'll choke the shit out of you. But that's pretty much it. So if you'd like to review, please like. If you guys are in there, I'm on StreamYard, so I'm not sure if you're giving a like. Please give me a like. I would love that. You know what I should do? You guys should all be mods. Let me see. I'm so new. Before I go, I'm gonna make you all mods, and I don't know how to, so I may have to go over. Can you make people mods in StreamYards, or do I have to go into YouTube? Let's see. I'm only in StreamYards. Is there no, just block put user. So okay, let me go over to YouTube to see if there's a way of making you guys mods before I go. Because you all are pretty cool, so you guys should be mods. So I'm going into the YouTube live thing. 3 dots next to it. It doesn't work in StreamYards, but I have to do it in YouTube. I can do it in YouTube. Add moderator. So all you guys, since I've always done show, yeah, you got to do it in YouTube. So all right, you guys are mods. The Jake D, Lord Thoth, and Wes, you guys are mods. So if you want to mod, I appreciate it. Apparently, yeah, you can't do it in StreamYard. You have to go on YouTube. So I have to click into YouTube to do it. So thank you. And thank you for whoever the fourth viewer is, unless the fourth viewer is me on the live stream panel on YouTube, because that would suck. But thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it. I will I'll be doing stream. I'll probably do another stream a little bit later. Well, Lord Thoth, you're a good mod. You mod on a lot of channels. And you're a good channel, so I can't wait till your channel starts doing videos. Wes Moody, Knighted, and JD with a thumbs up. So thank you all for being here and accepting modhood. I appreciate it. So thank you. That's pretty much it. So if you like the video, please like the video. If you're so obliged to share, subscribe, please do so. If you disagree or agree with me, let me know in the comments below if you're watching this in the future. And even if you do none of these things, thank you for watching. Thank you for your time. God bless.